Today the topic is exploring the potential of women leadership. Okay. So the key word and then it is leadership, right? So let me start with a question, and anybody can just answer with or without switching on your video. How many of you think or would like to think of yourself as a leader? Not necessarily a woman leader, but a leader. How many of you dream or aspire or think of yourself as wanting to be a leader someday who influences and inspires and motivates and builds a team of people? എത്ര പേർക്കാണ് അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ഡ്രീമോ ആഗ്രഹമോ ഉള്ളത്? ലീഡർ ആകാനായിട്ട്, ഒരു വുമൺ ലീഡർ ആകാൻ, ഒരു ടീം ഓഫ് പീപ്പിൾ ലീഡ് ചെയ്ത് മോട്ടിവേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് ടുവേർഡ്സ് ലീഡിങ് ദം ടുവേർഡ്സ് എ ഗോൾ, either in social context, political context, cultural context, artistic, educational. How many of you aspire? Anyone can just answer the question. Anyone who aspires to be a leader can say why. If you don't aspire also, say why. Okay. Leaving the floor to you. Fast, time 1 hour. We have to somehow, do something in that time. Okay, so today we'll have some kind of input, and I'll be happy if we can take this discussion forward. Okay, for women leadership, that particular area to discuss within the space of 1 hour is actually very, very difficult, and because it is actually very complex and complicated topic. Okay, because when we talk about a woman as a leader, even now when I asked you, okay, do you aspire to be a leader? I didn't get anyone jumping up and giving me an answer, yes. But if I asked you, do you aspire to fall in love, to have a dream relationship, okay, to have a romantic relationship, to have a family of children, and to, okay, or a moonlight walk on the beach, would possibly have been a little more excited. I'm not belittling your dreams, ambitions, or saying that, you have only such kind of dreams. Not that. It's always traditionally, we women, including me, our ambitions, our wishes, our desires are usually connected to bonding with people. Our need for affiliation, for being in relationships, for relating to other people is very, very high. At the same time, our need for power, our need for our ambition, our need to be, above others, to be in a position of leadership is generally a little more low. And so because being a leader or wanting to be a leader, it requires a kind of identity shift in a woman. Okay? An identity shift is required. Whether you're a leader in a small place or a big place, whether you want to be the prime minister of a country or the leader of a political party or MLA or a MP or a councillor or a social leader or a class leader, okay, or in a college, anywhere, it requires a little shift of identity, a different way of looking at yourself, a different way of even others looking at you. Okay, and this identity shift is not easy for a woman to manage. I wanted to ask you questions on the way, but because of the lack of response and the lack of time, I'm just giving you my inputs during this hour. Maybe later we can have a discussion. Okay, later when you're among yourself, I think you'll be having some more discussion. Okay, so this fundamental shift of thinking is required. And why is that? Why is a shift of thinking required? It's because we women actually live in a world which has been shaped by men. However, we don't like it. People like me and Jyoti Miss and Geetu Miss, we don't like to accept that. Because basically I like to think of, us being in a little more of the empowered category. I don't know whether we were always, maybe we were not always, but I think over the years we have got a little bit degree of being empowered, or we have worked on ourselves to become empowered. So we will not like to think that we live in a world which has actually been made by men. And there is a masculine ideological base, which is at the bottom of all the social transactions. Okay? Girls, are you with me? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Yes? Anyone can put in the chat box. Yes. Are you getting me? Okay. So tell me, when you think of a leader, what is the image which comes to your mind? Is it the image of a man or an image of a woman? Can you put an answer? I think I'm more comfortable with putting in chat box. When you think leader, okay, what's the first person thing who comes to your mind? Is it a man image or a woman's image? Just write man or woman. Chat box, hello, can you put that? Man. Alina says man. Okay. Jacqueline says man. Arati also says man. Okay. Nobody is saying woman yet, right? So why is that? Because a society has conditioned us to identify authority and power with men, right? Not with women. If you were to tell your mother or your father, tell your parents at home, I want to be a teacher, or I want to be a banker, or all that. I'm not saying teaching is, something of a lower degree, but there are certain, they would be very happy. Why? Because there are certain stereotypical roles which are considered suitable for women. Okay, but if you tell them, I want to be a leader, I want to be a prime minister, I want to be an MLA or a MP, or I want to be a social activist, I want to be somebody who is going to change society tomorrow, they would probably not be very encouraging, right? How many of you think your parents will be encouraging if you say tomorrow I want to go into politics, or I want to be a social leader, I want to be an activist, I want to be a change agent in society, or I want to head a big multinational corporation after some years, or even a small business after some years? How many of your parents will be happy and excited and say, congratulations, go for it? Will they tell you? Put again a message in the chat box. I want to be a political leader, I want to be a business leader, I want to be an activist, I want to be a social change maker. Anyone? Will any of your parents say congratulations? No. Ashley Mary saying no, miss, they wouldn't be happy. Varsha Mol, no, miss, they won't allow. Jacqueline, no. Devika is saying yes, my parents always encourage me to become a social worker. And it's, yes, this context of family approval is very important for women, because our socialization, the kind of messages we get in our early years are very, very important. Okay, because they build that kind of ambition, that achievement, motivation in us. They decide actually what we can do or what we cannot do. Okay, today you may be having some idea what you can do, but this idea is very, very much the result of your conditioning, which you have got from your early years itself. If you looked at even the women in your family, even your mothers, your sisters, forget about your brothers or your father, even your mothers and sisters would, encourage you to always aim a little lower. Okay, tone down your aspirations. Because, because from their early years also, they have been trained to identify authority and power and decision making with men, right? Okay, I'll ask you another question. Suppose somebody, comes to your house. It's a decision regarding, contributing something, making a donation, being a part of an initiative, or some kind of something like that. Say a group of people is coming to your house. Who would be the person leading the conversation? Who would be the person who's meeting them, taking the decision? Will it be your father or will it be your mother? Can I ask you? Can someone answer? Revati is saying father. Okay. So a group of people are coming home with some important discussion. Okay. So where will your mother be in this? Will she be around? Okay, I'm not belittling. I mean, these are questions which I direct sometimes even to myself. Okay. So Gargi says both. Very good. Bismita says both. Good. So I'm not belittling or anything those who said father, because it's the most common answer, even including in the family I was brought up in, would be father. Okay, so I also have grown up seeing my father taking the important decisions. Okay, my father taking the financial decisions, being the main breadwinner in the family. But my mother, though being an excellent manager, okay, having very wonderful management skills, being always relegated to the, taking the decisions in the household. And even there, the most important decisions of what to buy, what to do, what to invest. Okay, even how much we can spend, even those decisions I've seen always being taken by the male people in the house, including mine. Okay, so that is why I tell you that we women have got a lot of conditioning to break if we even have to think of ourselves as a leader, aspire for a leadership role. We have to break all these years of conditioning which tells us, think leader, think male. Think manager, think male. Okay, think leader, and it is a commanding and controlling image of a man which comes to our mind, right? And why is this? Yesterday, if any of you were there in the women's study, there's one thing which I mentioned there, which I'm just repeating. I don't know if all of you were there. So even we have a inventory. It's called the BEM sex role inventory. Okay, it's a very popular inventory which describes what are the qualities which are associated when we think of a particular sex. And this is based on very sound research covering a lot of people. You go and look it up in Google, you can see the BEM sex role inventory, BSRI. So this is based on research as to what qualities come to your mind, or what are the desirable qualities for women and what are the desirable qualities for men. And for women, the qualities seen are, loyal, cheerful, compassionate, tender, yielding, kind, warm, gentle, can be flattered easily. Okay, flatterable. It doesn't like to hurt the feelings of others, never speaks harshly, is not assertive, and many, many more like that. And the qualities associated with men are like self-reliant, ambitious, aggressive, rational, thinking, okay, leader. I don't remember all of them. But one thing which can be noted is that this women's qualities, the women qualities which are seen in this BSRI are all qualities which a woman can be only in relation to other people. Okay? It is not something she can be in isolation. So when I look at the BSRI, the thing which comes to my mind is a woman cannot be a woman by herself. Okay? So the question which comes to the mind of certain feminists, and some people have asked this question, can a woman be a woman when she's alone in a room? Can a woman be a woman when she's reading a book by herself? Can a woman be a woman when she's climbing a mountain or going on an adventure trip? Do any of these adjectives even describe what a woman is in relation to herself? No. They are always something related to other people. Okay? And a woman is always providing something to someone else. Girls, have you ever thought of that? Yes or no? Everything we hear about women, all these adjectives, show that a woman always has to give, providing something to somebody else, right? It can be to a lover, it can be to a friend, it can be to a spouse, it can be to a child, it can be to a parent, it can be even to a boss, even an unreasonable boss, but she must always be providing, providing, providing. Yes or no? Do you agree? Aditi says yes, Shaina, yes, yes. Yeah, I also say very loud yes to that. And we women are so happy to go along with this stereotype. And we pride, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with giving. There is nothing wrong with giving at all. It is noble to give. The teachers you have, your leaders in your women's study unit, Jyoti Miss, Geetu Miss, they're all very, very giving people, right? Very, very giving people. And giving is strength. But do we ever stop to think how much of the giving we do is related to ourselves? We always want to give something to others. And recognition is one of the main resources which women are always trained to give. Okay? In the home, we are expected to give recognition to the husband. In the workplace, we are expected to give recognition to men. So in the course of my research on women in leadership or women in corporate management, I found out that it's not only in India. We think that these differentials are only in India, but I looked at research being done in US, in Canada, and everywhere. It showed that women have got a very difficult time getting recognition for the things they do. And actually, this is a very complex subject and which takes a lot of time, because if we go to that, we have to discuss about women's style of conversation, of talking, of doing things, and we can't go to that extent. But I will just say a few things about that. So women, all of you are girls, right? So you know the way that we, the girls, have been taught to talk from the early age and interact in group is very, very different from the way boys have been taught to talk and interact. So even in your small play groups, think back to the time when you were a small girl, when you had your small groups of girls. How do girls talk and play? It's a very good trait of girls actually, and this is something which modern companies are really building on. They always try to build rapport and connection when they play. They always try to balance so that everyone is happy and no one is superior. Think of a time when you had in your group a girl who was always trying to be bossy, assertive, calling to mind her superior qualities. Would you like such a girl? Students, tell me, do you like having a girl in your group who is bossy, little assertive, asserting her status? You like that? Arati says yes. Many girls don't, including me. Like when I look back, I don't know now, but looking back at my childhood, every time if you have somebody in your group who is always trying to assert herself and put herself a little above others or call attention to her talents and all that, the other girls would just say, oh, she's very bossy. She thinks too much of herself. She's always, trying to assert herself over others, and slowly this girl will be out of the group. This is what usually happens. But in the boys' group, it is not like that. Boys, communication. So these are things which happen from our childhood, and we are not even aware of it, really. But this has come up in research which is done on men and women, and it shows that in boys, in their early interaction, all the communications, they tend to circulate around building status. And in a game also, people are very ready to accept leadership. One person asserting the status as a leader, being the boss, whether it's in games like cricket or basketball or anything like that, or any other outdoor activity. They're very conscious. They are very comfortable with the person who shows that he has got a leadership skill, being a leader. Whereas girls are very, very uncomfortable about this. Even if they think that I'm competent or can be a leader, they will always play down their ability in order to share recognition and credit with others. They will make sure that the other girls don't feel uncomfortable because of their ability or talent. Is it true? Look into yourself. Tell me, is it true or not? Yes or no? Do you understand what I'm saying? Girls, do you agree with that? Do we always like to give recognition, credit? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's a good thing. And this is why today women are being recognized as good leaders. All these qualities were very much discounted in the early years. Okay, all these qualities of women leadership, of women as, please excuse me for a minute. Sorry, being college, there would be some interruptions in between. Okay, so we were talking about this ways of talking. I was asking you, is it true that we like to give recognition, we like to give credit to others, we do not like to put ourselves first? Do you agree? Yes or no? Yes, Aditi is saying yes. Only some are answering, okay? I want all of you to come into this discussion. We can't do a very big thing today, but we can at least make a start. Shahina saying yes. Okay, Bismita saying yes. Okay, so let me tell you girls, this has got, two aspects. One aspect is this tendency of women is something which makes it very, very difficult for them to get recognition in a public, in a group which is comprising of men and women. Even people like us, people like me and Geetu Miss and all, I do not know, I must ask Jyoti Miss whether she has experienced this. I have experienced this a lot in the early stages of my career. So very often when we go, nowadays I do not allow it, but in the early stages and we go for training programs and we go for refresher courses or for any other meetings where we are part of a team and there may be like one or two women in that group and a whole lot of men. And I used to find it very, very difficult to assert myself in a conversation, even if I felt that I had very good ideas in that group. I used to always be very, very diffident about expressing it. Looking back, I realize it's because of the way that we were trained in our childhood. But somehow, we used to come to a meeting and it used to take me so much time to even think. Even we tend to defer to all the men in the conversation. Let them finish speaking, okay? These men could be stupid men, incompetent men, men without any knowledge, any common sense, yet we women in the group, I'm very ashamed to say, including me, we used to always allow them to have their say. And even when I or any other of the women, maybe there'll be only one, I've been in meetings where I might have been the only woman, there's so many years back. And we would always, the men in the group would always end up getting the credit and the recognition for even the things which were spoken by us, by me or by other women. And so many women report similar situations. And when I went into my PhD research, I found that this is not a problem peculiar to India or Malayali women or at all. It is something which is global, because globally, even Western research shows that women are not able easily to assert themselves in conversation. And even when they assert, it is in a very hesitant manner, very apologetic. Okay, their style of talking, their way of communicating their ideas to others is always, with a doubt, is this acceptable? Is this stupid? Because we have always been taught that we are not enough. Okay, we are not enough. I think I also always grew up, even though I was an excellent student, always getting, in between of this, I hope it doesn't sound like boasting, being excellent student, getting ranks all the time. In spite of that, I grew up with a little bit of lack of self-esteem, that I was just not enough, or there was something lacking. And it is very difficult, in a social situation. I found myself very shy, very diffident, very unable to assert myself. And I found out, and in reading and in the course of my research, I understood that this is something shared by women everywhere. So they may have brilliant ideas, they may be very creative, very innovative, but unless they have the knack of projecting themselves, asserting themselves, finding their space in a conversation, they will not be recognized, or they will not be given credit in any group. And that is something all of us. So all these things I'm telling you now will be more applicable to you when you go into the workplaces or in future. It won't be applicable to you now because you are studying in a women's college. Okay? But when you go out into the world, you'll understand that if you want to find your space, you want to find your voice in a male group where you happen to be one of the few women around, there you will have to fight to assert your space. And if you want to be in a leadership role, again, you will have to really know how to promote yourself a little bit, how to talk about your achievements, how to say, how to sell, how to make other people understand that you are talented. All these things you will have to work on. So I was reading something about, it was again as a part of my research, Do Women Lack Ambition? Was the name of a paper published by the Harvard Business Review. And the writer there quoted a woman, an interview with a woman. And she said, she said, I will tell you a little secret about myself. And she said this in a very, very shy manner, a famous woman. But she was telling this interviewer that when I was a small girl, I used to carry this badge around with me in secret, and it was written IWBF on that. IWBF was written on this badge. And she said, okay, what is this IWBF? And she said, it was I will be famous. But I hid this badge in such a way that nobody would see it. Even today, my husband doesn't know, or my family doesn't know that I used to go around with this badge saying, I will be famous. You are the first person to whom I'm telling this. And she was really feeling almost, and this interviewer was so surprised. She thought when this woman said, I'm going to tell you a secret that I didn't tell anyone in my life, she thought she will be confessing to something, very, very serious, maybe some moral lapse, some extramarital affair, or something which she was very ashamed to tell people about, something which nobody would, accept from her. And she was so shocked when she said that this secret of hers was that from the childhood, she aspired to be famous. What does it mean? She had ambition, but that's something she was ashamed of. Okay? Tell me, my young girls here, how many of you think that it is okay for a woman to be ambitious? Can you aspire? How many of you aspire? I asked you in the beginning this question, you didn't answer. Would you like to be famous? Would you like to be a person of influence? Okay, needn't be famous even in a big, if you either in a big way or a small way or in any way. Would you like to be a person, a woman who has influence, who inspires, who is a change maker, who is a leader? Yes, very good. Shahina, Devika, Jacqueline, Varsha, all saying yes, miss. Okay, so if that is one you want to be, from today, you have to work on yourself. Okay, you have to tell yourself every day. Okay, every day you need to be telling yourself, okay, that I have what it takes to become a leader tomorrow, to become a change maker tomorrow, to be famous tomorrow, at least in my own area of I have the skill to become an expert in my chosen area, to lead people there. There is nothing shameful or there is nothing bad about this, because unless you work, all of us like to make a difference in society, right? Including me. I always wanted to be somebody who can make a difference somewhere. But one thing we don't realize is that unless we work on ourselves, we cannot make change anywhere. Unless we empower ourselves, we can't make change happen anywhere. Okay, so because of lack of time, I'll just go a little bit to some changing thoughts about leadership. In the beginning, I told you that the concept of leadership traditionally was always think leader, think male. But today it is changing. A lot of research done all over the world. For those who are interested in hearing about that, we can discuss some other time. I'll just tell you very, very briefly. A lot of research being done on leadership all over the world says that the qualities required for the leader of today are all qualities associated with women and not with men. Some of these qualities are the ability to manage conflict, the ability to adjust, to change, the ability to adapt. Adaptability is the single most important skill for a leader. And why is it that women are able to adapt? Tell me. It's actually because of something negative in our socialization. But that is, today the women leaders are converting it into something positive. Tell me what that negative is. All our life, you and me have been told, right? Tell me how many of us, and your mothers have been told also, adjust, sacrifice, compromise. Okay, you are a woman, learn to adjust. Okay, your husband may be a very difficult person, but learn to adjust for the family. Okay, your boss may be a difficult person, but learn to adjust. Yes? How many of you agree that women all our life are told learn to adjust, sacrifice, compromise? Tell me, girls. People, anyone? You agree? Are we always told no? Arati is saying no. Anybody thought, okay, y'all are the new women, we are the older women, okay? So we, in our lifetime at least, we were always, in our young age, we have always been heard our mothers being told to adjust. We were being told to adjust. And those women I know, I mean, families around where I grew up, where there were 3 or 4 boys and 1 girl in the house, the girl was treated very, very differently from the boys. I mean, that was the way it was in our childhood. But now things may be different. But definitely in even though Arati said no, I'm sure there are many among us who say yes. Even you and your mothers have always been taught, adjust, adjust, adjust. But this adjustment and being adaptable has become a skill which women are converting in the modern workplace as a strength. Okay? All research all over the world is showing that women are bringing into the workplace a new style of leadership called transformational leadership. The old men's style of leadership is called transactional leadership. Transactional, it is like you tell your child, you tell a child, if you're good, I will give you a ice cream. If you're bad, I will beat you. The old theory of motivation was called the carrot and stick theory that represents the transactional leadership. Okay, that means if you want a donkey to do something, you give a carrot. If you want the donkey to run, you punish by beating with a stick. That is a transactional mode of leadership, reward and punishment. And that is how men generally like to lead. This was the old style of leadership. But now leadership research is showing that women are bringing a new style which is based on connection, collaboration, cooperation, okay, flexibility, managing conflict, multitasking, because you know your mothers are very good at doing 10 things at a time, So the same skill, even a homemaker mother is excellent at that, but these same skills are being transferred into the workplace, and global research is showing that everywhere. So even in Western countries, in recruitment interviews, women are now being encouraged to discuss their homemaking skills, the financial planning, budgeting, whatever they do at home, managing conflict in the family, adaptability, resilience, all these skills, they are encouraging the women to discuss that even in job recruitment interviews. Okay? So I'm telling you that all the things I told you in the beginning, which might have sounded a little negative, are not really negative. Women are able to convert these into positive behavior, provided they also have two things. They need to have focus and they need to have the desire to succeed. It is not enough to be empathetic, okay? Empathy, all women are empathetic. We always, feel very quickly. We feel very sad when when we watch something. Even my children keep laughing at me because in the cinema theater or at home, or when I see a sad movie or something, I would be crying a lot, and they find it, somehow it just happens. I say I will not cry, but somehow I end up crying. So women, we empathize even with the characters in movies and serials and all that. We have a lot of empathy. We feel sorry when we see others in trouble. And this empathy is a skill which we can translate into power in the workplace. That is what we need to do. It should not be just that we are always there to give others, to recognize others, to give credit to others, but we can't do the same thing for ourselves. No. Okay? We need to do this for others and we need to do it for ourselves too. So, because of lack of time, not dwelling too much there. So remember one thing, so one thought I'm giving you there is that today the leadership, the world, the managerial world, contemporary world is recognizing that women are excellent leaders. They are leaders who can turn around organizations. They are turning around the loss-making organizations into, profit-making organizations. In politics, you've seen inspirational leaders. You've seen Michelle Obama. You've seen, I think, how many of you have heard Mahua Moitra, a woman leader speaking in Parliament? I think many of you would have seen. If you have not seen, you should listen to her speeches. You've seen women leaders making this impact in politics, in society, in business corporations, everywhere. Okay, in spite, and they are able to do it by converting behaviors which were earlier considered as liabilities. These behaviors can be converted into a strength. At the same time, we have to recognize, that's the most important part. We need to come to that. If not able to come to those who are interested, they can do another sometime else. But I want to just tell you about this. Even though we have this tremendous power, this tremendous leadership potential, when we really take the statistics, we see that only a very small proportion of women is really reaching the highest echelons of power, whether corporates or whether it is in politics or whether it is anywhere. When you go at the entry level, at the middle level, there will always be a lot of women, but when we go to the top, all over, there will be 2%, 3%, 4%, etc. And why is that? Is it because you're less able? No. Again, research has shown that it's not because women are less able, not because they are lacking, skill or anything, talent, but it is because of the power differentials, the differences in power, the equations which they experience in 3 areas. And I'll just very quickly, because of lack of time, just only touch upon that. Okay, that is 3 areas of personal power, interpersonal power, and organizational power. Okay, in these 3 areas, let's try whether we can at least do the first one. I told you some things related to the first one. Personal power is composed of 2 or 3 things. There are many things. I'll tell you 3 main components. One is need for achievement. Okay, need for achievement. We call that the NACH factor, NACH. A management thinker called McGregor. I think it's McGregor. No, McClelland. McClelland, yes, he has identified this NACH factor or need for achievement as a very, very important component leading to success. Okay, so there are three needs. We have the need for achievement, we have the need for power, and we have need for affiliation. Need for affiliation. Need for affiliation means need for love, friendship, socialization, being part of a group, bonding with others, having a fulfilling relationship. Okay, all this is need for affiliation. And women's need for affiliation is very, very high. Okay, that's why we don't even want to be very successful, because we think if we become too successful, our partner may feel threatened, our family may feel threatened, we won't have time to devote to our children, and we are more happy with people saying, okay, she is a very successful homemaker than she is a very successful leader. So because of our need for affiliation with our significant others, partners, children, family, etc. is so very high, we tone down our need for achievement and our need for power. I'm saying it very briefly, it's not as simple as that, but we women tone down our need for achievement and our need for power because our need for affiliation is very, very high. So because of this, a personal power quotient comes down, okay? Unlike men. So I always ask women, so whenever, suppose you're presenting, suppose you're telling a woman, okay, so we have this amazing opportunity for you, this developmental opportunity, okay, where you can go to a foreign country on deputation, okay, or you will get this promotion if you're ready to go out of the country and all that, and you tell this exciting offer. Many women would be, some women might take it up, but most of the women would say, what? I have to ask my husband first, including me. I might say that. Okay, I don't know if I'll say it now, but I might have said it earlier. I will have to ask my family or my husband first before deciding whether I can take it up, even though it's the opportunity of a lifetime. But tell me, girls, how many husbands or how many men would ever say that I need to consult my wife before deciding whether I can take up this career advancement opportunity? What do people say if a man said that? They will say BP, BJP. I think all of you are familiar with these terms, right? You know what is BP, right? They would just write him off. Bharya pediyana, Bharya janmana pediyana. That is BJP. So it'll be like he is a person who has no mind, no identity of his own, and he will do things only after consulting his wife. And that's a very, very negative trait in a man. But in a woman to take a decision by herself without consulting her husband, a partner, would be a very, very, so inexcusable behavior in a woman. That is what society thinks, and that is what you and me also grew up hearing. So because of this, women don't easily take up opportunities which help them to further their career. Okay, they do not take up opportunities, and that again so the need for achievement is low. Their self-efficacy also is lower than men. Self-efficacy is the feeling I can do it. What is self-efficacy? I am able to do this by myself. Okay, there are challenges, but I can overcome. That is self-efficacy. It is related to self-confidence. So research has shown that almost even brilliant women suffer from lack of self-confidence. So when you take the number of women suffering from lack of confidence, on an average are more than the number of men suffering from lack of self-confidence. So that is another factor bringing down the personal power. I'll just say 3 of these factors alone. The third one is locus of control. Locus of control again is psychological concept, which says we have 2 kinds of locus of control, internal and external. Internal means a person thinks that I am the person responsible for all the failure and success in my life. I am the person responsible. That is internal So if it is failure, it is my fault. If it is success, it is my achievement. That is internal locus of control. I'm just putting it very simply. It's more complicated than that. External is, it is always a result of fate, luck, or destiny, or something like that. If you achieve something, it is all the grace of God. There's nothing wrong with saying grace of God, but you are not a part of the equation at all. Or it is because of my family's support. So anytime a woman achieves success, people are always quick to point out. You can see in interviews, people say, okay, is it because of your family support that you got so far? And women say, yes, it is because my husband has done this or all that. But in how many interviews do you hear a man being asked, have you got to this position because of your wife's support? Okay, but actually it is a fact, but they will very rarely, there are very few men who would acknowledge the support of their wives in an interview. But women, not acknowledging is okay, but the fact is that women are expected to acknowledge the support of others wherever they do something great. Okay, that is not something expected of men. So this is, and again, they would be always thinking external factors. They would say it is because I went, to this church or this temple and did this. Again, nothing wrong with that. But always when you say such things, you are putting yourself and reducing your power in that situation. You are taking yourself out of the equation. And so a woman who has an internal locus of power, who says that I am the sole factor responsible for my success, and therefore I am the most important ingredient resulting in my failure also. It's very important that we have to take responsibility for our failures. Why? Because if we are responsible, we can correct it, right? But if someone else is responsible, we can't change them. So all successful women, research done on them show that they have an internal locus of control. They are responsible for, they feel that they are responsible for their success and their failure. So in lack of time, I'm not going to the other factors of personal power. These are three, okay? Need for achievement, self-efficacy, self-confidence, and internal locus of control. Okay, then interpersonal power, which I stressed about earlier, it is because of the way we communicate. We tone down we tend to be apologetic in conversation, not assertive. We don't like to communicate our achievement. In my research on women corporate leaders, I found that one main factor contributing to the lack of success of women, or another way, the success of women also, was the difficulty in communicating their career achievements and aspirations at the right time to the right people. Men find no difficulty in doing this. They have no difficulty in going to a lunch table, sitting with the boss and saying, I did this or I did that. And they would somehow draw attention to their accomplishments. But women will always play down their achievement. So I read an anecdote where a woman, this is a real story, she went up to a boss and said, I've done all these things. And how come you didn't give me this promotion? And you gave this promotion to this less competent man. And the boss said, Sharon, I think her name was, I had no idea that you had done all these things. Why didn't you tell me about it? Okay, he said the fact that you didn't get promotion is because you've never discussed at any time or told me about your achievements. So this socialization, which has trained us to not talk about our achievements, has made us, not really aspiring, not really, not qualified to go to higher roles, or finding difficulties in getting those promotions. Okay, finance. Okay, so again, I think time is running out, so I've really not covered it. So I just want to summarize just a few things. I'm not going to organizational cover at all. I'm just summarizing a few points so that there'll be just one or two takeaways. I know the next hour thing is already started. So one, remember that you as a woman are fully equipped to be a leader. You have everything it takes to be a leader, to be a change maker. But the decision starts with you. Today you have to decide that I am going to have this extraordinary adventure of my lifetime, discovering and actualizing my potential. I'm going to forget all those stories which have told me put yourself last, and I'm going to change it to put yourself first. Jyoti, should I stop? Time Ayo. I should stop, right? Jyoti Miss?
2-3 minutes എടുക്കാം മിസ്സേ നമ്മുടെ
just wind up here. Okay. So any of you who is interested in discussing more about these things, we can find some other time. I don't know whether did you find any of these things discussed today useful or necessary? Was it relevant? Relevant, I don't know, any of these things we talked? Yes or no? Girls? Okay, some are saying yes. So I'm just summarizing this. See, the future is female according to all studies. Okay? So I'll just say 2 or 3 things and stop. You are going to be the change makers of tomorrow. But you have to realize that you have this quality in you. You have to reinvent yourself and become people who will have an impact tomorrow. Okay? And just 2 things more. You have to keep asking yourself every day, where is a situation in my life where I'm giving away power to others? Let it be to my brother, to my partner, to my lover, to my whoever. Okay, so am I giving? There's no time. I would have liked to talk a little about the relationships also and how we give away power in our relationship. Maybe some other time. You have to ask yourself, how often do I give away power, in my relationships? And how do I reduce my personal power by always being obsessed with this relationship, or how? So that is a factor which we have to work on. So, and you have to also. So you have to keep asking yourself of the situations where you give power. Then you have to.
ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റിൽ പോയിട്ടേ മിസ് ഇന്നലെ ബാനർ
ജ്യോതി, ഞാനിപ്പോ വൈൻഡ് അപ്പ് ചെയ്യാം ജ്യോതി. ഓക്കെ ജ്യോതി, ഒന്ന് മ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാവോ?
ബെല്ലടിച്ചതേ ഉള്ളൂ, കുഴപ്പമില്ല.
ഒന്ന് മ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാവോ ജ്യോതി? അപ്പം ആ conversation കേൾക്കുന്നതുകൊണ്ട് not okay. Just 1 minute. Okay. So you have to keep asking yourself that, where have I given up power? Very important question. And if you've given up this power, you have to take it back. Okay, you have to take it back. This question you have to keep asking yourself. Nobody else can do it. Okay, have I given power to my parents? Okay, let it be to your teachers, even to your teachers. You don't have to surrender your personal power to anyone. If your teacher says that you're good for nothing, you have to claim, you have to reclaim. Your teacher will never tell you that, but we knew when we were in school, there were teachers who said that sometimes you will never become anything because of this. And that goes into your mind. It might have happened at some time, but if you gave away power at any time to a teacher figure, a parent figure, a religious figure, or a lover figure, or any other figure, this is a time for you to start claiming it back. Because unless you set yourself free from those things, you can never become powerful in your own right. Okay? So then you have to understand what skills you need to become a leader. Okay, so then you have to work on your communication, your confidence, your self-efficacy. Ask yourself whether you are, whether you have an internal locus of control or external. Then ask yourself the 2 things which hold women back. I'll conclude with that. One is fear of success and the other is fear of failure. It was a researcher called Martina Horner who first talked about this fear of success. Women have a fear of success. We don't want to succeed because we think it will challenge others, it will upset others, it will dislocate our, traditional family roles, or it will be a threat to our significant partners or whatever. So we fear success. So become a person who doesn't fear success, who doesn't fear failure. Don't fear failure, because unless you fail, you cannot do anything. So be ready to fail and be ready to succeed. Be ready to become powerful. Okay? Be ready to work on yourself. Be ready to reinvent yourself. I think it was Maya Angelou, who said that I saw one day that I had been created entirely by others, and I didn't like the way I was created, and I decided to reinvent myself. Okay, not the exact words. So today must be the day you decide that if you are a person who has been conditioned and created by others, you will do the work of reinventing yourself and becoming a leader. Aspire to become a leader. Can be anywhere. It can be in a small group, a small team, or a big group, in a political party, in a social situation, anywhere. But aspire to be a leader, because the world needs leaders who know how to use power the way women do. Okay? That part of it I was not able to cover, how women use power in a different way. They share credit, they share recognition, they transform relationships, they build connections, they use power in a very different way from men. And that is why all over the world, women leaders are being accepted today. So realize your leadership potential and realize that you will do whatever it takes to become a leader. With those words, I close. I've already exceeded my time. Thank you, Jyoti Miss and Geetu, and all members of Women's Study Unit for this opportunity to talk to you and share a little bit of my views. There's a lot more to be said about women leadership and how we can train ourselves to be leaders, but not enough time today. I hope you didn't get bored by what all I was saying. I sometimes get carried away when I talk about women's issues. Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you for the opportunity, Vaishnavi. Thank you, Sneha. Happy to be with you, at least on this platform. So become vibrant. Our college, even in a women's college, the positive thing is you get a lot of opportunities which people don't get in co-educational colleges. So when we are, in our time, we were always a little bit away because the men were walking away with the opportunities. But here you get all the opportunities. Make use of the opportunities you get and become a vibrant presence in the campus and in the society. Okay? Don't let anyone tell you that you are not enough. Don't let anyone scare you or make you afraid. Be sure to fulfill your dreams and goals. Thank you again, Jyoti. Okay, bye.
Good morning. ഇന്ന് ഈ പരിപാടിയിൽ പങ്കെടുത്ത എല്ലാവർക്കും എന്റെ വിനീതമായ നമസ്കാരം. എന്റെ പേര് അലീന വർഗീസ്. നന്ദി പറയുക എന്നതാണ് ഇന്നത്തെ എന്റെ ദൗത്യം. ഇന്ന് നമുക്കായി വനിതാ നേതൃത്വത്തെ പറ്റി ക്ലാസ് എടുത്തു തന്ന നമ്മുടെ പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട പ്രിൻസിപ്പാൾ റീതാലത ഡിക്കോത്തോ മാമിന് പ്രത്യേകം നന്ദി പറയുകയാണ്. ഇന്നത്തെ ക്ലാസ് നമുക്ക് ഒത്തിരി അറിവുകളും ആഴത്തിലുള്ള ഉൾക്കാഴ്ചകളും നൽകുന്നതായിരുന്നു. മാമിന്റെ തിരക്കേറിയ സമയക്രമത്തിൽ നിന്ന് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി സമയം ചെലവഴിച്ചതിന് മാമിന് ഒരുപാട് നന്ദി. ഈ വെബിനാർ ഞങ്ങൾക്കായി സംഘടിപ്പിച്ച എല്ലാ അധ്യാപകർക്കും നന്ദി രേഖപ്പെടുത്തുന്നു. ഇത്രയും പറഞ്ഞ് എന്റെ വാക്കുകൾ സംഹരിക്കുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.